Good day, learners! Today we are going to discuss part 3 of measure of variability, which is the average deviation in basic statistics lesson 9. But before anything else, do not forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you will be updated for my upcoming videos.
3, 2, 1, 0.
1, 2, 3, 4.
This video lesson will discuss about average deviation of measure of variability. Average deviation is defined as the sum of absolute deviation of the arithmetic mean divided by the number of cases. This descriptive statistical tool is infrequently used by researchers. These are the formula. For ungrouped data, average deviation is equal to the summation of the absolute value of x minus the mean divided by n. And for the group data, average deviation is equal to the summation of the product of the frequency and the absolute value of the midpoint minus the mean divided by n. Consider the ungrouped data in 90-item test in statistics and probability taken by 12 senior high school students. Compute the average deviation. This is our data, the scores of the 12 senior high school students. So if you are going to add all these scores, the summation x or the sum of the x is equal to 636. Okay, the first step that we need to do is we have to compute the mean. And we all know in the previous lesson that the formula in finding the mean of ungrouped data is the summation x divided by n, where n is the total number of cases, and the summation x is the total number of scores. So our summation x is 636 and our total number of cases is 12. Then our mean is equal to 53. Step 2 is we have to subtract the mean to the row score x. So each of these scores, column for the x, will be subtracted by a mean 53. So we are going to put in the second column the difference between the row scores and the mean. So for example, if our score is 30, then 30 minus 53, that gives us negative 23. If our score is 35, then 35 minus 53 is negative 18. If 44 minus 53 is equal to negative 9, so on and so forth. So after getting now the column for the x minus the mean, third step is get the absolute value of the result in step 2. As what you have noticed in the column 3, we are just only getting the absolute values of the result in the column 2. So if we have negative 23, negative 18, negative 19, negative 5, it means that in the third column, all values will become positives regardless of their sign, since we are not getting the absolute value of the column 2. Step 4, sum up all the results in step 3 to get the value of the summation of the absolute value of x minus the mean. So it means that all of these numbers in the column 3 will be added. So if we're going to sum up all this one, then we have now the summation of the absolute value of x minus the mean, which is equal to 112. We can now proceed to our step 5 by computing our average deviation. Using the formula, average deviation is equal to the summation of the absolute value of x minus the mean divided by n. That becomes 112 divided by 12. So we have 9.33. Then we can say our average deviation is 9.33. Let us compute average deviation of group data. 30 students in a class took a statistics test. The results are recorded in a frequency distribution table as shown in the table below. Find the average deviation. The first step that we need to do is to compute the mean. But in order for us to compute the mean, we need to identify first the midpoint. How to find the midpoint? So if our class interval is 70 to 79, just add 70 plus 79, divide it by 2. That gives us a midpoint of 74.5. If our class interval is 60 to 69, just add 60 plus 69, divide it by 2. The midpoint is 64.5. If our class interval is 50 to 59, 50 plus 59 divided by 2, that gives us 54.5. 40 plus 49 divided by 2, the midpoint is 44.5. 30 plus 39 divided by 2, the midpoint is 34.5. 20 plus 29 divided by 2, the midpoint is 24.5. After getting the midpoint, we have to multiply the column for the frequency to the column of the midpoint. So, to create another column for the FM, so if we have 2 times 74.5, we have 149. 3 times 64.5, that is 193.5. 2 times 54.5, that gives us 109. 3 times 44.5, that gives us 311.5. 9 times 34.5, that gives us 310.5. 7 times 24.5, that gives us 171.5. Since we already have now FM, or the column of the FM, all we need to do is to sum up all of these results. So if we're going to sum up all of this, that gives us summation of the FM, which is equal to 1,245. Since we already have now the summation of the FM, we can now compute our mean, which is equal to the summation of FM divided by n, where n is the total number of cases or the total number of frequencies. So substituting on the value, we have 1,245 divided by 30. Our mean is 41.5. After getting now the mean, step 2 is subtract the mean to the midpoint. Okay, this is our column for the midpoint, and it has been said that each of this midpoint will be subtracted by the mean 41.5. So we are going to create now column for the midpoint minus the mean. So we have 74.5 minus 41.5, that gives us 33. 64.5 minus 41.5, that gives us 23. 54.5 minus 41.5, that gives us 13. 44.5 minus 41.5, that gives us 3. 34.5 minus 41.5, that gives us negative 7. And 24.5 minus 41.5, that is negative 17. Step 3. Get the absolute value of the result in step 2. Since now this is now the column which is the result in step 2, we are going to get now the absolute value of these numbers. So we're going to create again column for the absolute value of midpoint minus the mean. So it means all of these values, regardless of the sign, will become positive. So 33, copy 33, 23, 13, 3, and since now the absolute value of negative 7 is 7, the absolute value of negative 17, that is 17. Step 4. Multiply the results in step 3 in each corresponding frequency. And it means that we have to multiply to each corresponding frequency. So let us have another column, means that this column will be multiplied to the column of the frequency. So if our frequency is 2, 2 multiplied to 33, that gives us 66. 3 multiplied to 23, that gives us 69. 2 times 13, that gives us 26. 7 times 3, that gives us 21. 9 times 7, that gives us 63. 7 times 17, that gives us 119. Step 5. Sum up the results in step 4 to get the value of the summation of the product, frequency, and the absolute value, midpoint, minus the mean. So, as we are going to sum up all these values, will gives us 364. So which means that the summation of the product of the frequency and the absolute value of midpoint minus the mean, that is equal to 364. Then, let us now compute now the average deviation. So, average deviation is equal to the summation of the frequency times the absolute value of the midpoint minus the mean divided by n. So, substituting now 364, our n is the total number of the frequency, which is 30. So, 364 divided by 30, our average deviation is 12.13.
And that ends our video discussion at this moment. Thank you for watching. But before you will end this video, please do assess your learnings by answering the self-test activity. Thank you.